yard care is not always about just clean up. Today it's about fix up, and we have a rewarding do-it-yourself project that will give definition to your yard now and fill with flowers in the spring. And I have to admit, I had not heard of Gabion planters before, but you're saying this is like the new thing. Are people doing this? This is the cool thing to do.
Yeah, we're doing this all over. There's so many different ways you can use it, but it's super simple and gives you a nice look, and there's lots of variation to it. So we figured this would be a good fall project to share.
Well, we're so happy to have JJ Lund here. He is a landscape expert, and so what he tells us, we believe. And when I first heard about this, I had no idea people were just using metal, throwing rocks in, and calling it good. But when I see the product like this, tell us, is this basically what we're doing, a wood frame and then with the metal inside?
What I have is I got 62 feet of 2x6s and 1 sheet of Gabion metal. I built this in about 45 minutes.
Okay.
So since it's fall season, a lot of those guys are wanting to be out hunting, and their wives are like, no, we need to do some projects at home, honey. So this is an easy one for my buddies that they can do, and I can teach them.
Okay, so the Gabion comes from the name of the metal.
Yeah, so the Gabion, it's just the grid type of metal that is more or less a retaining, product for rock or whatever you want to put in it. You could do different things.
What are some of the things people are doing with it?
So you could put bark chips, shredded mulch, different things like that. But the trick to it is make sure you buy something bigger than what the grid in the metal is. The first one that Todd and I bought, we bought this real expensive rock, and it was a little bit too small, so they all came right on out when we put them in.
And so you're seeing people build walls, you're seeing people build all sorts of structures, right?
Yeah, so this one actually, somebody asked us to build this for them for their wedding reception that they're holding at our event center. So we build this, it's just gonna be a display piece, and we're actually gonna put some great big trees in this one. So I built this a certain size that will actually fit this tree pot just right. So once you get the structure built, I realized that my tree was gonna sit too low. I built a spacer down there so it would sit up off the ground. And at this point, I'm gonna drop it in, put my mulch in, set my tree in there, and then you go ahead and fill up all the way around it with the rock, which actually fills up the Gabion side like this that I have for the example over here.
Are people really building these themselves? I mean, you're an expert. Is this something people are attempting on their own? Or
I mean, you got to be a little bit handy, but really anybody can do it. Obviously, we build a lot of them. We build a lot of benches, planter beds, like you say, Walt.
Like he was saying, you got to do the test to make sure that whatever you're buying is not going to go through there. Okay, so walk us through how you put this together.
Okay, so I more or less built 4 picture frames out of the 2x6s. In a nutshell, attached them all together and put this cap on the top.
Okay, so picture frames, you're saying. So
I'm just saying
when you look at the top of this, that's
side
exactly
border.
what it looks like.
Yep, exactly. So it's a matter of just picture frames put together, made easy.
Is there a certain amount or a certain type of wood that is better?
You can do anything.
Anything.
Yeah. So this is just pine from Home Depot. It costs about $70 for this amount of wood. You could do, it depends on what look you want to go for. Pine's really easy to paint, so you could paint it white or black or brown or whatever. But if you want to go to like a walnut or cedar, it costs a little bit more money, but then you stain it, looks pretty, lasts a long time.
And where would you find this Gabion metal?
So that you can buy at Home Depot also.
Okay.
Get it at Metal Mart, any kind of metal distribution. You need a grinder to cut it, and some places will even cut it for you if you have your measurements ready for them.
Yeah, I don't have a grinder on hand.
You should buy one. I mean, every girl should have a grinder in the house.
Now, do you have any rock? I mean, how do you just basically dump? I don't know if you can show with the camera in here, but there's just basically like does it matter how big you make this space that you're gonna dump the rock?
No, so I just did this for the show to hold the rock in, but really I wouldn't even use this. I would just put my pot in and I would fill everything around it with the rock.
Okay, so talk to me about, is this something that's good for Utah weather? Someone mentioned earlier, what happens when the metal rusts out? It looks too sturdy for that.
Yeah, some people love the rust look. I mean, even if it rusts and get water on it, it's gonna last 10 or 15 years before it actually broke. You could go to the extreme and powder coat it or paint it to try to weather seal it. It's gonna last as long as you build it to last, I guess you'd say.
Could you do this without the wood frame, or is that something that's necessary?
No, there's different ways you could, before we've done it just with the Gabion metal and we've tied the corners like with chain or wire, and just hold them together.
Industrial?
Yeah, just make it freestanding, all metal, no wood. So there's different ways to do it for sure.
Okay, now talk to me about where this looks good. Is there like a type of house that it looks better with? Can it really go anywhere?
Yeah, I mean, you can really put it anywhere, but people love it for back patio deck, round swimming pool, the hot tub, the front porch, on a driveway, anywhere that you can highlight a pretty feature. you know, put a tree, plant in something to make nice.
Okay, now I just want to talk really quick about how we actually put this together, because you made the picture frame, but then if you can see inside here, I want to show how did you connect this metal to the wood?
So obviously you got to cut it big enough to overlap just a little bit. There's lots of different style of clips that you can do. This, I've just done a clip and a sheet screw to each side to hold it up. You don't need very many clips because the pressure of the rock actually holds it tight. So it needs very little support until you get it built, and it'll stand a long time.
And so obviously it seems like you need to buy whatever your planter is going to be before you build
You need to
the
have
structure.
an idea of what you want, right? Like, if you don't, I mean, you can build it and then come down to our store and just buy a whole bunch of stuff to fill it up. But it's great to have an idea of what you're wanting before you start.
Okay, and lastly, what else are people filling these with besides rock? You mentioned bark, maybe?
Yeah, so you can get shredded wood chips that are long. You can do different colors of those as well. You could do sand, but then you'd have to do like a glass, you know, something to hold it so it doesn't slip through.
That's a little extra.
Yeah.
Okay, tell us what's going on at the nursery and where you guys are.
Yeah, so Shade Home and Garden Center, 435 South Geneva Road. It's getting the fall season. It's really busy. It's been fun. We do lots of wedding receptions now. We're going to have some fall markets, got some Christmas stuff and some Halloween stuff coming up. It'll be a good time.
Where is the best way for us to find you?
Come on down to the store.
All right, thanks so much. JJ Lund, landscape expert, telling us about this new thing, Gabion anything, really. It's
right.
a new trend.